It feels great, but the job's not done. Kobe was so unique in how he played, and I loved that Jaylen Brown was like, the job's not done yet. But just because you get offered the job, now you have to go do the job. So the better you prepare yourself today, the better and more confident you're going to be in stepping into your future and into your tomorrow. Hello and welcome to the Bears and Lions podcast. If you're brand new here, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, hit that follow button for all of the content. If you're a returning listener, thank you so much and welcome back. I can't wait. Today was a great conversation. I talk about the NBA Finals and something that Jaylen Brown actually said after Game 3. He said, the job's not done. And I think there's a lesson in that. So I really hope you enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side. I love sports so much. In fact, I went back to school at 27. I've mentioned this on the podcast, but I went back to school to study sports broadcasting. So I used to work in the radio station doing producing for collegiate games. I also did play-by-play on ESPN and a few others. But I love sports so much. And this month we were so lucky because we had the NHL championship, the finals for the Stanley Cup, and then we also had the NBA finals. And the NBA I loved this year. The Celtics were so incredible through the regular season and then also through the postseason. The Eastern Conference was kind of lopsided because you could just tell the Celtics were the best team, and they showed they were the best team. The Western Conference, however, was super exciting. You had the Minnesota Timberwolves and young talent in Anthony Edwards, and then you had the Dallas Mavericks, and you had the returning champions of the Denver Nuggets. So it was a blast, and the Western Conference was fun. But we got to the finals, and it was the Dallas Mavericks versus the Boston Celtics. And there was this unique moment where the Boston Celtics came out and they were just so good. They were just so good. The first game, they take the first game, and then the second game, they take the second. And it's a best-of-7 series, and they go up 3-0 in the series. And somebody, one of the post-game press conferences, somebody asked Jaylen Brown on the Celtics if he felt happy that they were up. How did it feel that they were up 3-0? And he replied, it feels great, but the job's not done. And I loved it so much because 15 years ago in 2009, a certain Kobe Bryant was asked a similar question when the Lakers were up 2-0 in a series against the Magic. And it's very iconic. There's gifs about it. There, you can look it up. But he had this great answer where he just said, what do I care? Job's not finished. And both the Celtics and the Lakers ended up finishing the series 4-1, and they both walked away champions, right? They walked away and they finished the job. And it's amazing how they could just lock in. And Kobe was so unique in how he played. And I loved that Jaylen Brown was like, the job's not done yet. Like, they were up. All they need is one game to win. It's really hard to come back. Pretty much no team has come back from being down 3-0. LeBron's team was the last that came back being down 3-1. And so it was just this, it's like, you guys basically won. But Jaylen didn't say, yeah, we got this. We're going to wrap it up. He just said, it feels great, but the job's not done yet. They're so focused on completing the task. And I was glad that he said that because Kobe was the exact same way. Kobe could lock in at all times, and he would just dominate. And the reason why I think this is so important is this idea that when we're going through life, I think there are moments where we'll be like so locked in. Maybe it's a downtime. We're struggling. We're really struggling. We know we have to lock in. We're not sleeping well. We're not doing great. We have this huge project at work. So we just lock in and we're like, we're just going to do this for as long as we need to. We're going to lock in and we're going to get this done. And we can do that because there's pressure on. And our backs are against the wall. Maybe it's, you have to make rent, so you have to work that overtime, or you have to, there's a responsibility at work, so you just have to put in that extra time. It doesn't matter whether you're getting paid for it or not, because this is everything on this project. It all lies on this project. If you're a CEO or if you're an entrepreneur, then you're going to know this more than anybody. But if you're somebody who may be a student who procrastinated throughout the year, and then all of a sudden your final project is due and you have 6 hours to complete this, it's pass or fail at this point. You just have to do it, and you have to lock in. I think a lot of people can lock in and focus during those low points where you have to. But there is a special greatness that's inside of the hearts of those that know how to stay focused during the high points when you're winning. Like Kobe, it didn't matter whether they were winning or losing. It didn't matter what circumstance he was facing. Kobe was always laser focused and locked in. And that's how we need to be. And I'm not saying that we can't take some time to ourselves or to celebrate when we get a win, but we need to recognize, I love Jalen's answer. It feels great, but the job's not done. There's a balance that has to take place. And there's this really cool podcast I was actually listening to. It was Dr. Gabrielle Lyon was on Huberman Labs podcast, on Andrew Huberman's podcast, and they were talking about the release of dopamine when something happens, and how whether it's eating or certain things, like a good thing happens, it releases a dopamine and we feel it, but then we can sometimes slack off. And so I was just listening to that podcast. That's a great podcast. You should give it a listen. But I was listening to that and I was just thinking, wow, we do this in life. We do this in life a lot, right? You're going for a promotion at work and you pour all of your effort into prepping for this promotion. You're like, I want to get this job. As soon as I get this job, everything's going to be great. It's going to be so good. So you do the interview prep, all the interview prep where you're going through the questions. Tell me about a time when you disagreed with somebody. And you're like, yeah, I've got this answer and this is a great example. And then you sit down and you have your interview and you crush it. And they're like, you know what? We want to bring you on. We want to bring you on. This is going to be great. You're like, yes. And then you take a deep breath and you celebrate for a second. But just because you get offered the job, this is the point I'm making. Now you have to go do the job. Now you actually have to go work and do the job, which I think is so important to recognize, that we often will get lost in the sense we'll treat a 7-game series and we'll win game 1 and we'll slack off and end up losing altogether because we're still riding that high of that one win. And I know that so many athletes have said it, but you're only as good as your last at bat, or you're only as good as the last shot you hit, or you're only as good as the last goal you scored. Whatever sport you fancy, I think there is an important message that you may have a super low and you lock in and you get it done and then you celebrate. But you have to get back into reality pretty quickly and recognize that the job's not finished yet, because we're constantly evolving, we're constantly growing. And even if you get a great job or you win a great project, it's fine to take some time for yourself to celebrate. However, it's very important to recognize that you have to go back to work. You can't take a vacation for 2 weeks after a big sale and then say, you know what, I'm just not going to go back. You have to go back to work, and you have to get back to work. And that's my point, is I don't want to have a mindset where I'm just happy with being up 3-0. I want to have Jaylen Brown's mindset where I say, it feels great, but the job's not done. I want to be able to be a Kobe Bryant in whatever job I'm doing. I want to be a good steward so I can go and I can do something great at work. Recognize it, say yes. But now I've got a new job. Now I have something new I have to do. I have a new project. The job's not done yet. This portion was, or this was complete. but now it's my time to step into that next portion. And we sometimes will confuse ourselves where we'll say, oh, no, but I need me time. I need to focus on myself. I need to relax. I need to go home and watch Netflix, or I don't have time to do anything. I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to do this because by the time I get home, I just need me time. And I've thought about this actually a lot, and I've written a lot in my journal. And at some point, who knows, this is probably going to become a book, but I've written a lot in my journal. And so one of the things I remember specifically, because I tell myself often, is my future worth my free time? Or my me time, I should say. And what I used to do, I used to treat my future like it was just going to happen. I spent so many years procrastinating that when I really sat down and looked, my future really was never happening. Well, I went back to school at 27 because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And by the time I took the responsibility and chose to make some changes and change my habits, that's when I started moving towards my goals and dreams. And if I can leave you with any wisdom that I've learned over the last 35 years of my life, it's that your future is your responsibility. And the sooner you step into that truth, the faster you'll find yourself exactly where you want to be. It may not be that you get there immediately, but you're going to see that you have taken massive steps. And it gives you a chance to look back on yourself and say, look how far I've come. Because me in my early 20s versus me in my late 20s versus me now, if I had never started taking those responsibilities serious to change the way that I was thinking, to change the way that I was acting, to change the projection of what I thought the world, I'd project what I thought the world would just bring to me. Oh, as long as I do this, everything will work out. I'll deal with it tomorrow. It'll work out. I'll do this today because it's what's in front of me. And then in the future, something will come along. Now, don't get me wrong. Life will happen. Time stops for nobody. But if you have a specific pursuit or a specific desire, and you can be young, you can be old, you can be in a career, you can be in school, you can be wherever you want. But if you have a specific desire, if you are not making a choice and taking responsibility to move yourself towards that by taking responsibility of your future, I promise you, it's not going to happen. Or if it does, it's going to be way down the line, like way down the line, to the point that you may not even care when it happens. And I really want to be somebody who encourages you to take control of your future, take control of your responsibility, and take responsibility for what you're doing in the present to impact the future, to recognize it. That's why this podcast is all about being able to accurately view your past and to accurately look at how you have grown and the skills you've gained so that you can step confidently in your present and say, no, that's what I want to go for. So that's what I'm going to do. I want to lose weight. I'm going to start working out today. I want a promotion. I'm going to start learning new skills at work today. I'm going to start shadowing people that are doing that job so I can start learning from them so that eventually I'm just doing their job. And I know how to do their job. So when I ask for the promotion, I can say, yeah, I already can do all these things. I'm already doing all these things. Because we can go through all of the steps to go get a promotion, to get a new job. And when they say in the interview, yeah, we want to offer you this job. Great. But that doesn't mean that you are going to be good at the job. That doesn't mean that you don't have to do the job. That means you now have to go do that job. So the better you prepare yourself today, the better and more confident you're going to be in stepping into your future and into your tomorrow. And that is, I think, an important lesson. And Kobe said it best. Job's not finished. Jaylen Brown feels great, but the job's not finished. So I want to encourage you the rest of this week. Think about some of the areas in your life that maybe you've slacked off a little bit because you had a 2-0 lead in the series. And then all of a sudden it's a 2-2. And maybe you're down 2-3. And you need to really kick it back up in gear. Job's not finished. What are you pursuing? Maybe you started a project and never completed it. Maybe you started a book and you never finished writing it. That's me. That was to me. Maybe you started an idea but never pursued it all the way through. Job's not finished. Let's get to work. Let's complete it. And then we can say, yeah, now we're champs. Or now we've done this. We're going to move on to something even bigger. That's going to do it for this conversation. I appreciate all of you who listen. I really am so thankful for the opportunity to do this podcast. If you would like and subscribe, all the good stuff. If you don't, I'm still making this podcast anyway. Leave a comment. It'd be fun. I love interacting with people. I can't wait to continue to grow this. We're almost at episode 100. That's right around the corner. But you know what? Job's not finished yet. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week. Remember to give grace, show love, and as always, stay stellar. Peace.